ever, 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 ever. North we go. Having the lead investigator, who was black and unarmed, or so his family contends. According to authorities, a struggle occurred when officers approached the vehicle, presumably due to suspected marijuana, and people allegedly grabbed a gun before he was shot in the back. Now, he's running away. He has a cell phone. I think he even mentions that he has a cell phone, but what can you tell us that we don't know about this case, Silk?
That he was black and unarmed. You are after
Jeez.
that. But I mean, there's a major increase, as you know, of the climate that we're in right now with the current administration. So anytime you have someone that's supporting whatever the police does, you're going to see a significant increase in the way that some of these individuals carry out their daily duties. And I think that's what we're seeing right now. So, and it's very hard, I can tell you. It's troubling. A lot of the cases that we had, judges are writing back and denying some of these filings that we have made insultfully, though. We can't believe that this is being filed or this is that, but very insultfully. And that's just paraphrasing, but very insultfully. So what has happened is that the current president has his people in place, and they're very, very insultful about why they're throwing these cases out. And it's mega all day long.
Yeah.
You know, it's mega. So he has his people in place, and you know, vented in the current system that we have.
So right around the George Floyd, or just after post George Floyd environment, you know, we had the American Sympathy, we had Black Lives Matter, we had the street leading up to the Capitol, Black Lives Matter Avenue, that has now been washed over. We have Fort Johnson, which is now back to Fort Polk. Many other monuments of treasonous Confederate soldiers are now, those statues are now being put back in places. He's going back, as you mentioned, to a Jim because of the immigration policies, them just picking up innocent women and men and children without records who had the proper paperwork and sending them to Alligator Alcatraz. So when you see he's poised, and now he's talking about Chicago, now he's talking about Detroit, every
But
black city
you
with a
see,
black
yeah,
mayor.
with a black male,
Yeah.
exactly. So they're trying to suppress. They're trying to suppress your voice, and what they're really attempting to do right now, if we don't watch it, they're going to try to make this a one republic government. And
Mm.
then if you protest against that, you get locked up with long sentences. So it's a slick dictatorship already in
Yes.
effect. And
Yes.
we have to do everything that we can to make our voices heard. And then sometimes that means going to sit in jail.
Mm.
Sometimes that means getting hit upside the head. But we cannot sit back and let this individual just take the country because we fought too hard to get to the little bit of comfort that we had, and I think that is good, Tony, because now you know what I'm starting to notice right now.
Mm-hmm.
I walk into different establishments, and the first thing come out of a black man's mouth now is, "Hey, brother," because
Yeah.
we know we know
It's
that
just
enemy on
us.
the rise. Yeah, we know that
Absolutely.
if that hey brother pour over into the hood where these young brothers are at war with each other,
Mm-hmm.
that will stop the bloodshed that we're seeing. Because anytime that these type of individuals get up on your behind and you know there's an enemy over there, you need a safe haven to go run and knock on somebody's door
Hello.
and say, "Hey, they're trying to kill me." So,
Yes. You need some
hey,
help,
I
some
think it's going
backup.
to bring us together. Yeah, I think it's a greater plan from one that's not on this planet that's going to bring us back together and put us back into what we seen in the '70s when we, hey, my brother, how you doing, man? So
Yeah,
glad to
man.
see you. We understand who the enemy was because we cut on that TV and see them on the Selma Bridge getting the hell beat out of them and shot with cattle prods and all that. So
Dog sick
I
on
think
water
that this is
hoses.
going to be, yeah, it's a rude awakening. It's definitely a rude awakening, and I think God is also showing us that I could give you as much freedom as you can handle, but you can't handle it because you start fighting amongst each other. So now you're turning that enemy back on you and letting you see who your real enemy is, and you'll realize who your real brother is, Tony. I think that's what we are right now in this
And before I
world.
let you go, you got to weigh in because you're there living in Texas now. What are y'all talking about around the water cooler at the Crump Law Office as it pertains to those Democratic state representatives who have fled the state, and now it looks like the federal government is now getting involved with the FBI to track them down and to bring them back. Although this is a civil political issue, in handcuffs to sit them down so they can have a quorum so they can get their five new GOP red districts, all of which they're taking those districts, gerrymandering them politically, and taking them out of the hands of like the Crockett woman and my man Al Green down there in
Al
Houston.
Green and all,
Yeah,
yeah.
all of them. Good friends. They've been on the show. Certainly Al's been on the show a time or two. But what is the perception and what's being done about that? Just blatant. Let's just take over every state and have these
Well, well,
these redistricting.
I think that it's not just Texas. It's happening in Louisiana too.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's happening. It's
It
happening
is.
all across the country. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's happening all across the country. I mean, this is the fight, and this is what we're up against. And that now that we see exactly where these people head is at, we have to make sure that we pull together and fight more harder than we've ever fought before. I don't think it's for the next 3 years. I think that is going to be a continuation of this struggle that we've been in ever since we've been here. I think that we had definitely got too comfortable. Some Negroes had got too uppity, and I think they're putting us all back in our place now where we
Come
can
on.
start communicating
You
with each other and make sure that we have to have each other's back. So, man, Tony, that's why it's important for you to keep doing what you're doing, and so that everybody could have a voice and everybody could have something that we could tune into to give them some guidance in such dark times, because these are dark times. My advice to all of us is to make sure don't just have your bread over there where it's being baked at in the bank. Get you something in the sock like we used to have
and a
up under the
mattress.
house, because that's going to be important, man. Yeah, that's going to be important everything that they got, they could control. So we got to make sure that we start having more stuff in our household so that we can have access to it. And it ain't got too much value to it anyway. But man, you go to the store, I just cried now.
Oh
I'm about to
gosh.
turn I'm about to turn vegetarian.
It's expensive,
I'm
man.
about to
You're
get
right.
with my son. My son say, "Daddy, see?" I say, "I know, so we can throw a few seeds in the backyard and survive
I'll
the way
start.
you eat."
Yeah, man.
And of course, I love fishing, so I would be okay, man. But Tony, thank you for all that you do. Thank you for having me, man. I look forward to our next session.
All right, brother. You take care. Tell Ben
Yes,
I
sir.
said hello. All right, my man, Arthur Silky Slim Reed, lead investigator for Attorney Ben Crump, with this segment of Silky Says. Silky Says, rather. More eyes open when we come back. Don't go away.
So what's your name?
What does life after service look like? Kicking back? Taking it easy? We believe it looks a little different. It looks like leading for all veterans, helping shape policies to make certain they get the benefits they've earned, and ensuring every veteran's voice is heard. It looks like advancing to meet today's veterans where they are, lifting them up and strengthening the bond that unites us. It looks like serving when disaster strikes, with boots on the ground helping our communities recover and rebuild. From the capital to our hometowns, we don't just show up when it's easy, we show up when it matters. Because a veteran's mission never truly ends, and neither does ours. The VFW, still leading, still advancing, still serving. Get involved at stillserving.org.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tony Brown. This is a true story. My church brother Harold got an infected toe several years ago. He thought it was minor. It wasn't. He finally went to the hospital after months of neglect, but gangrene had already set in. They took his toe, then his leg below the knee. 6 months later, they took the entire left leg, eventually his other leg as well. I saw my friend suffer, and eventually they took his body all the way up to his waist, and eventually his torso was placed in a medical sock. He died just a few months after that. This did not have to happen to Harold, and it doesn't have to happen to anyone you love either. Call Dr. Gary Jones at Louisiana Cardiovascular and Thoracic Institute. Professionals at LACVT are now wound care certified. Help him and his staff stop the senseless amputations. Suffering from black toe or a wound that will not heal? Call LACVT at 318-442-0106. That's 318-442-0106. LACVT, Wound Care Clinic, saving limbs and saving lives.
KTTP 1110 AM is available 24/7, 365, all day, every day. Download the KTTP app on Google Play or the App Store.
All right, we're back right here in your premier morning news magazine. Please download our app. Go to kttp.com, or you can go to, if you have an iPhone, to your Apple Store and download the app. And, of course, we're streaming 24 hours a day. And, of course, this show, Eyes Open, every morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., Monday through Friday. Derek Bailey, president and CEO of True Photonic, and his vice president of governmental affairs, his daughter Alex, we first shared with you a couple of weeks ago about token purchase agreements through a portal called TruePhotonic.com, a relatively unknown American startup that unveils something they say is transformative, processing data not with silicon and transistors, but with light, a million times faster, producing better technology with hardly any carbon footprint. Right now, Meta is building a data center about an hour away from us in rural Richland Parish, Louisiana, creating 5,000 construction jobs, 1,000 permanent jobs, but at what cost? As many communities across the country are complaining of noise pollution, not to mention this facility will be 8 football fields long. Using so much power, CLECO has to build 3 new power plants to facilitate it. Not to mention the threat of sucking up, Sportsman's Paradise is what we call Louisiana, our water supply, trying to cool these massive turbines needed to power the project. Let's talk about the carbon footprint and what is already happening around data centers nationwide. Again, let me start with you, President and CEO of TruePhotonic.com, Brother Derek Bailey, and both Alex, both of you guys, welcome to Eyes Open again.
Yeah, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
No, absolutely, and I'm glad, Alex, you were able to come on. Mr. Bailey, let me start with you. What do you think about this project going up in Louisiana? Because I don't think a lot of people in Louisiana know what this project is going to mean to the environment. Well, I understand what they're talking about economically, but the environment and what we call Louisiana Sportsman's Paradise of our hunting history, of being able to fish, having all these bodies, these estuaries, having all of this nationally, Kisatchie National Forest, and so many natural resources that are pristine to a certain point. But as I mentioned in a meeting with you guys this week, Louisiana seems like it has become the country's toilet, where we are just storing toxic waste and salt domes and just ruining our state for a few dollars. Do you think Louisianans really know what's going on and what these huge data centers mean for our state and our environment?
Well, I'll say a couple of things, Tony. Number one, politically, I don't comment on what other companies are doing. Number two, there's new technology coming. So they're going to run up against this new technology, whether it's Meta in Louisiana or other builders in other places. These data centers, the current data centers as they're structured now, using these high processor chips, they use millions of gallons of water a day. They require lots of power. And so that our company is developing computing that operates on light. And so it's going to use 90% less power, no water at all. It's going to be exponentially faster. So the great thing about capitalism is these old technologies are going to have to face new competition. So I think some things will shake out in the market themselves. I don't think that most people in Louisiana understand this technology, and that's what we're going to be using this portal to do, is to try to educate people. So that's what this is all about, because we know that the educational piece is missing.
Well, let me ask you this, or you or Alice can address this. If this technology is already available, why wouldn't these big companies be utilizing and steering their projects toward that technology instead of using the old transistor silicon technology?
Well, like you said, we're a startup, still virtually unknown. They're starting, to learn about us now. Mm-hmm. A lot of these projects are already underway.
Okay.
And even so, we're going to build our first data center in the next 18 months or so. So no one is going to stop what they're doing right now, probably, but they're going to have to modify their future plans.
Absolutely. As Alex, as I bring you in, as we talk about just a couple of weeks ago, President Donald Trump saying that the federal government is going to invest billions of dollars into this old technology to be able to facilitate AI. Let me ask you this. As if you're speaking to a third grader, how can you explain to me what True Photonic is and how it works?
Well, first to address your touching on President Trump and his investment. The job of the federal government is to ensure that America stays at the forefront, which is where America should be, right? So President Trump is investing in AI because we are in a computer race. And our company is really thrilled to be part of that race. But if you are a person who's worked in government or, non-technology fields for years like I am, this entire concept can seem really, really fantastic. And so just to explain it really, really simply, the average person probably knows or might know that everything that exists, all the things that you use, used to have what's called a vacuum tube in it, right? And then we transitioned. The United States got a brand new technology in the late 1940s called the transistor, right? So, we all know when we see a new technological advance. And then that same technology has been used. It's just been refined over years. So if you imagine since the late 1940s, we've just been improving on an existing technology. But what we know is that every technology that exists eventually sort of runs out of its usefulness, right? The world advances and it can only go so far. So now we're back in another 1940s moment where a new technology is coming along. So we know that the environment can only take so much. There's only so much water that exists.
Absolutely.
So if you are using the old silicon-based technology, you are required to keep it cool, right? Has anybody ever dealt with their phone? Imagine that on a massive scale, right? You got to keep it cool. So this is that sort of at a much more global level. But our light, I mean, most people, if they say, like, I'm fast as light, everybody knows what that means. So imagine that our technology is that fast, and you're never going to have to take your phone off the dashboard.
Absolutely.
The globe is not going to have to take their phone off the dashboard, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, and you did explain that very well. Mr. Bailey, let me ask you this. Processing data at the speed of light with photonic technology sounds like a game changer. How is that going to improve? How's it going to improve what we're using today?
Okay, well, processing with light does a few things. Number one, like Alex said, the current technology is based on transistors. So transistors operate in what's called nanoseconds. I mean, these are terms that people can Google. And our computer is going to operate in what's called femtoseconds. And a femtosecond is about 1 million times faster than a nanosecond.
Jeez.
But when you think about these data centers, it also matters how much energy is used per calculation. And so we use about 90% less energy per calculation.
Jeez.
So whereas, a regular hyperscale data center, might be using like what you guys are building up there. I think it's 2 to 5 gigawatts of compute power. We're going to produce that same compute power using a lot less energy.
Oh, wow.
And so speed matters, but also consumption of electricity per logic event matters. And so we win on both.
How is this? Let me ask you this. How is, to get to you guys' point, I went online after speaking with you, and of course I got my 10 tokens that you promised my listeners. I hope more people did it. My staff did it as well. How is this technology going to be monetized in the future?
Okay, so right now, those tokens and, this portal. So by Thursday, the portal that you see today will change, and it will be filled with videos and articles and news. So this portal is really about solving the issue that we talked about when we started the phone call, education. Yeah, we want people to know what photonics is. When they hear that somebody is building a 2 gigawatt or a 5 gigawatt data center, I want them to know what that means, what resources are required. And so the portal is kind of like an inducement. So we're going to give you the way people are going to access these new computers of ours is going to be using a digital token, like a payment credit.
Okay.
And so we're going to give people 10 of these payment credits just for coming into our portal. And then you'll see that as you learn about the technology, we'll give you like little, multi-point tests. And if you pass these tests and show us that you understand each subject matter, we'll give you more tokens. Now, down the road, as we open up this data center, people are going to need these tokens to access our computers. And so at that point, they'll become sellable. And so a person could either use the tokens to play a game or to start a business, or they could sell those tokens to someone else who wants to use them.
Imagine if a company was giving you energy futures just for doing your homework.
Just for signing your name on the application. So you're absolutely
well, we're tricking you into learning about the future.
Absolutely, and you're giving them.
We're rewarding you for learning about the future.
In Louisiana, we call that lanyap. That's a little extra. So I'll take that lanyap.
Exactly.
I'll take that lanyap.
A little pepper on it.
Absolutely, with some pepper and some cayenne pepper on it too. Let me say this before I let you go, because we're gonna bring you guys back. Are you still offering the free tokens, and how can my listeners access it?
Absolutely. It is so incredibly important that everybody goes and learns about photonic computing and that they make informed decisions about what their community should be doing when it comes to building anything, including data centers. So visit us at Portal, that's PORTAL, True Photonic. The word true, photonic is spelled PHOTONIC.com. So that's portal.truephotonic.com. And then we're going to use a special code for your show. So when you go to portal.truephotonic.com, it's going to ask you for a code along with your email, and you are going to put in the number 7, lowercase c, uppercase C, 16, capital A. So again, that's 7, lowercase c, uppercase C, 16, capital A. So visit us at portal.truephotonic.com, put in your code, start learning, start gaining tokens for the future that you are going to be able to utilize or sell.
Absolutely. I want to thank both of y'all for your time. Of course, the president and CEO of TruePhotonic.com, as well as his vice president of governmental affairs, his daughter, Alex. Thank y'all for coming on, and we'll be talking to you guys in the future. And I am so glad to be a part of the True Photonic family now.
Well, it's the femto second future, right? This is the femto second generation.
Absolutely, and like I said, I missed the crypto boat. I'm not missing this one. So, and I'm encouraging my listeners again,
Look,
folks.
The good thing about capitalism, as my father says, is that always the newer boats do come along. So we're glad to have you aboard.
Absolutely glad to be on board. And again, go to www.truephotonic.com. Put in the code for my listeners. It's a 7, lowercase c, capital C, 16A. Again, that's 7, lowercase c.
And that's a capital A.
Okay, capital A. Quick. 7, lowercase c, capital C, 16, capital A. I'm going to post it on my Facebook page. Take care, Alex. Your free tokens, it's 10. Absolutely, you already signed up. More eyes open when we come back. Don't go away.
At 11:10 a.m. KTTP, Alexandria Pineville.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tony Brown. This is your statewide news you can use on this Hump Day Wednesday, the 13th day of the month of August. News today being brought to you by Louisiana Cardiovascular and Thoracic Institute, LACVT, Dr. Gary Jones and Company. They are now wound care certified. 3 people fatally shot at a target in Austin, Texas, and a suspect has been detained. Now, this is the 4th mass shooting in our country in just half the time, as many as 2 weeks. According to the latest data, 10 people have been killed in the last 2 weeks in mass shootings right here in America. The latest happened on Monday as a gunman in Austin, Texas, targeted a Target store in the Texas capital, killing at least 3 people, and stole 2 cars during a getaway that ended with police using a taser to detain him. On the other side of the city, Austin Police Chief Lisa Davis said the suspect is a man in his 30s with a mental health history. Davis said the suspect fled the scene in a stolen car, wrecked that car, then stole another from a dealership. He was captured in South Austin, where he was taken into custody. She said during a news conference, she said responding officers found 3 people who had been shot in a Target parking lot. Austin Travis County EMS Chief Robert Luckritz said 2 people were pronounced dead at the scene, and 1 other person was taken to a hospital where they were pronounced dead. He said another person was treated on the scene for unrelated injuries. Davis said this is a very sad day in Austin. It's a very sad day for all of us, and my condolences going out to the families. The shooting came amid back-to-school shopping ahead of the upcoming school year. Target Corporate has not responded to an email from the Associated Press. This is a devastating situation, and my heart is going out to the victims and their families. Austin Mayor Kirk Watson said in a message on X, while this remains an active and ongoing investigation, what I'll say that this was a sickening, cowardly act of gun violence. At a Jiffy Lube shares its parking lot where Target employees hunkered down and locked the store doors as soon as they became aware of the shooting took place. Paul Smith, an employee in the store, said he saw people running to get into their cars. Looking here for the gunman who apparently in this article has not been identified, but he was identified by the national media on last night and this morning. He's a Hispanic man with mental illness or a history of mental illness, according to authorities. They found him hunkered down with a Bible, claiming that he was Jesus Christ. So somewhere somebody failed. The system failed him. But again, he was taken into custody, which in itself just begs to differ the comparison that black men don't get taken into custody, even for minor infractions, while others almost always do. A deputy-involved shooting occurred in Sabine Parish. It happened back on August the 2nd, but state police just confirmed that the deputy with the Sabine Parish Sheriff's Office attempted to pull a man over near Manny that day to serve a property ban notice. However, the man did not stop, and the chase ensued. According to LSP, the chase came to an end at the man's home on Brandon Road, where he got out of his vehicle armed with a gun, retreated into the house, and barricaded himself. SPSO deputies established a perimeter and started negotiation. After several hours, LSP said the man exited the house with a gun and 2 knives. Deputies commanded him to surrender the weapons, but the man refused. The LSP said a deputy then fired his weapon at the man immediately after. Deputies rendered aid until emergency services arrived. The man was then transported to the hospital where he died from his injuries. The man's identity still has not been has been released in this deputy-involved shooting in Sabine Parish. A St. Helena Parish teen was sentenced Monday for a fatal school shooting after a victim's family members gave emotional speeches in the Greensburg courtroom. 16-year-old Christopher Williams was sentenced to 9 years in prison as an adult after pleading guilty to the shooting at St. Helena College and Career Academy that killed 1 juvenile and injured 2 others back in September of 2023. The shooting took place on campus when the 3 victims were still sitting in a car after school. 16-year-old Vernon Gordon Jr. died in the shooting. Williams was charged on counts of second-degree murder, 2 counts of attempted second-degree murder, and illegal carrying of a firearm. He was 14 years old at the time of the shooting, and he was tried, as I say, as an adult. Vernon Gordon Sr. said the sentence didn't reflect the value of his son's life. He said, "My family was served a life sentence of grief." He described his son as an outgoing athlete on the honor roll who wanted to go to college. He would have turned 18 5 days ago. The victim's father and several other family members donned T-shirts with his photo that said, "Justice for VJ," and "Until we meet again." Marquel Bernard Gordon Vernon Gordon Jr.'s mother described her family as struggling with grief after the shooting, especially her juvenile special needs daughter. The mother said the death changed our family forever. Other relatives and mother of the other two injured victims spoke about their grief. Some shared their frustration about the sentencing. Some forgave Williams. Williams kept his head down as the 7 victim impact statements were read in court. Initial reports from law enforcement said that bullying may have been a fueling or have fueled that shooting. 2 Lake Charles men have been arrested after being accused of raping a child, according to the Calcasieu Parish SO. The Lake Charles men were accused of raping a child under the age of 13. A spokesman for the sheriff's office says deputies were dispatched to investigate a tip on Sunday regarding an inappropriate contact with a child under the age of 13. During their investigation, deputies were told that 23-year-old Jacoby S. Young was responsible, but after CPSO Special Victims Unit detectives arrived to assist with the investigation, it was discovered that 20-year-old Caden L. Bruner also had inappropriate sexual contact with the child. Upon further investigation, deputies said they found bruises on the child's body, which they believe were caused by Bruner. Both Young and Bruner were arrested and booked into the Calcasieu Parish Correctional Center on rape charges. Jacoby S. Young's bond has been set at $2 million. For the second year in a row, a homeless Baton Rouge man was arrested for breaking into Magnolia Cemetery, getting inside a mausoleum, and leaving litter around the grounds. 43-year-old Michael Dubrock was found by Baton Rouge police officers Thursday morning in a mausoleum after the officers noticed litter. The arrest comes nearly a year after Dubrock was arrested for the same crime of breaking into and apparently living out of a mausoleum at the Magnolia Cemetery in the 400 block of North 19th Street. According to the affidavit before the arrest, Dubrock had broken the gate to gain access to the mausoleum in which the bodies of 4 people were entombed. After refusing to exit the shelter, refusing to place his hands behind his back, and eventually resisting an officer further attempts to arrest him, Dubrock was tasered by police. Dubrock admitted to police that the litter around the mausoleum was in fact his. Funeral arrangements will be held this Saturday for Sergeant Khalib Eisworth, a decorated Baton Rouge police officer who died Sunday after being struck by a truck in June. Eisworth will be honored at Istruma Baptist Church, located in the 10,500 block of Sam Rushing Road, according to BRPD. Visitation for the fallen officer will begin at 9 o'clock in the morning, following by a funeral service starting at noon at Istruma Baptist Church. Following the ceremony, Eisworth would be laid to rest at Green Oaks Memorial Park. Eisworth served on the force for 23 years, joining the motorcycle division in 2008. He received multiple awards for heroism in the line of duty, including the Medal of Valor, the highest honor bestowed by the department for pulling a motorist from a burning vehicle while off duty. On June 16th, Eisworth was critically injured in a crash that happened at about 11 a.m. on Jewel Road near Prescott Road. He was on his way back to a work-related escort assignment when a driver, later identified as 41-year-old Gad Black, struck Eisworth's motorcycle with his pickup truck. Black allegedly had followed the officer for a short distance before he ran into him. Last month, surgeons at Our Lady of the Lake Regional Medical Center amputated both of Eisworth's legs above the knee, and his family expressed hope after his vitals improved, posting on social media to thank the hospital doctors and their staff for the care they were giving him. But late Sunday morning, after 7 weeks in the hospital, Eisworth died with his loved ones around him. After Eisworth's death, Black, who is currently being held in a parish jail without bond, had his charges upgraded to first-degree murder. During the COVID pandemic, Baton Rouge got hundreds of millions of dollars in federal money for housing projects, but an audit found the Office of Community Development sometimes mismanaged that money, and sources say a federal investigation is underway. The audit looked at 7 projects out of hundreds the office handled, though it did not specifically identify them. Some of the red flags, city parish rules say that between 10 to 17% of the total cost of a housing project should go directly to the developer as fees, but in one project, 28% of the cost went to the developer fees as the cost of the project ballooned. The original budget for the project was $220,000 with a developer fee of $33,000. Months later, it more than doubled to $450,000. But before the contract was amended to its higher cost. $130,000 in developer fees had already been paid out. In several cases, auditors found the office reimbursement developers, but couldn't provide any evidence the developers had actually spent the money for which they were being paid back. One reimbursement payment of $360,402 had no record from the developer. Another equaling $279,456 had no confirmation of payment and its related transaction. Chase DeSormo feared the worst after he stopped hearing from his two sons. 7-year-old Cohen, 5-year-old Colton missed the first day of school, Christmas, and their birthdays. After they did not show up for a routine custody drop-off, alerts went out last December across Louisiana asking people to be on the lookout for the boys. The U.S. Marshal Service joined the search, while the Kankakee Parish Sheriff's Office also tried to track them down. As DeSormo continued searching for his sons, their faces flashed on national news screens. Investigators had not been able to determine their specific location, saying the boys could be as near as still in Louisiana, Texas, as far away as California, Michigan, Illinois, Pennsylvania. The case of the missing DeSormo boys wound up taking 9 months, spanning 2 states, including multiple law enforcement agencies, and highlighting an often overlooked concern in the world of missing and exploited children. What happens when they are with a parent when they go missing? Experts say such missing person cases generally receive far less attention than those that involve strangers who abduct children. It was 2:30 in the morning on March 31st when a phone call woke up their dad from his sleep. There was news about the boys. The DeSormo boys went missing amid a messy custody battle. After their parents, Chase and Charlene DeSormo, separated in February 2022, the Lake Charles judge granted them shared custody. Chase DeSormo was named the domiciliary parent, and he cared for the boys while Charlene worked as a travel nurse in Los Angeles. But there were warning signs that the custody order was not being followed. A family's wrongful death lawsuit stemming from a fatal brawl outside a popular Tigerland bar will proceed after a judge ruled Monday that there was enough cause for the plaintiff's claims. Shirley Pantoja filed a lawsuit against Fred's Bar and Grill in March on behalf of her deceased boyfriend's 2 sons. Devin Repath was killed early in the morning of March 23rd of last year, resulting from a fight in the parking lot of Fred's Bar. The lawsuit survived a bid by Fred's to get the case dismissed. During Monday's hearing, attorneys for the defendant argued the bar can't be sued for negligence because the fight happened after security kicked the brawlers out for being disorderly. District Judge Richard Chip Moore denied the motion for dismissal, determining the plaintiff's claims had enough merit for the case to be heard by a jury. Quote, these patrons were removed from Fred's Bar and Grill already knowing that they were aggressive with one another, he said, and to throw them out together without any oversight, without any supervision, I believe that is a cause of action. According to an arrest report, Repath took a swing at Matthew Marsiglia, a 21-year-old LSU student involved in the fracas. Marsiglia ducked a punch and shoved Repath, whose head hit the pavement when he fell to the ground. Repath, a 26-year-old Westwego man, was in town for a friend's bachelor party. He suffered a traumatic brain injury and was taken to the hospital, where he died 3 days later from blunt force trauma. The Gulf Coast has seen a rise in infections caused by Vibrio vulnificus, a deadly pathogen found in warm salt water and raw shellfish, known for its ability to rapidly infect and destroy skin and tissue. It's known as flesh-eating bacteria. So far this year, the bacteria has been linked to more than 70 infections and 9 deaths across Louisiana, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and Texas. Louisiana accounts for a disproportionate share of the cases, with 20 infections and 4 deaths in comparison to the state average, just 7 cases and 1 death per year over the past decade. And finally, Odell Beckham Jr., the legendary former LSU wide receiver, took to social media on Tuesday afternoon to draw a definite line where he stands with his career retirement. Not done yet, Beckham said, posted on X, formerly known as Twitter. Thanks for your concern and have a blessed day. The announcement came as a response to a parody page on ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter that posted 32-year-old Beckham has called it quits. The post was accompanied by a graphic of Beckham Jr. and a child sitting next to him in New York Giants jersey while looking at MetLife Stadium. I'm Tony Brown. That's your statewide news you can use on this Hump Day Wednesday, August 13th, for Eyes Open Radio, 11:10 a.m. KTTP and 107.5 The Vibe. Have a safe and a blessed day. All right, we're back right here on your premier morning news magazine. Oh, I don't know if you guys been following the news, but if you're not, you should be. Today we're speaking to our medical expert, Dr. David Holcomb, the former medical director for the Office of Public Health, and of course, whom we talk to on a weekly basis, certainly since the pandemic. Speaking of the pandemic, a gunman walked into the CDC headquarters in Atlanta over the weekend and shot up the building. Yeah, he blamed the COVID vaccine on making him sick, killing Officer Rose, an African-American police officer with the Atlanta Police Department, whose wife is pregnant and has 2 children, now without a father. Are conspiracy theorists to blame, and does the data support his claim of the COVID vaccine drug making him depressed and suicidal? Right now, as we speak today, 10,000 CDC staffers and personnel across the country have been ordered to work from home today as a result of the threats, this latest shooting, mass shooting in Atlanta. And again, let's bring on my good friend, Dr. David Holcomb. Doc, certainly a tragedy on this morning, over the weekend, something that many people saw that was probably coming because of the negative anti-vax movement that have been blaming the CDC because of the COVID vaccine. You know, your thoughts about the claims, according to the police, that the drug, the COVID vaccine, made him depressed and suicidal. Welcome back to the show.
Nice to be here. Yeah, you know, my heart goes out to this black officer who was just doing his job and is gunned down by somebody who's essentially crazy. And it was not the vaccine. So, you know, no valid medical product is totally without side effects. Okay, so that I'm not going to say that everything is you know, perfect, but all these vaccines have been tested essentially tested in the public for millions of doses, and it is safe and it is effective. But it's like Fauci. It's become a lightning rod for people who are unstable and fill themselves with hateful rhetoric that is opposed to science, and these people have guns. And that is a dangerous combination.
Now, this isn't certainly since the Trump administration really came into fruition for its second term, we've seen a lot of verbal attacks. We've seen a lot of CDC personnel who claim, because of the threats that many of them are receiving online, some, you know, around the office. But do they have cause for concern, certainly in the wake of this deadly shooting? Someone, as you mentioned, who has a mental problem, going in and drinking the Kool-Aid of conspiracy, saying that there's something about COVID vaccine, although the data suggests otherwise, and it saved hundreds of thousands of people during the height of the pandemic. You know, why some people are blaming not only the vaccine, but they're targeting CDC staff and personnel.
Well, this is part of a poorly orchestrated but generalized attack on the CDC in specific and on science in general. And it is just remarkable because, you know, people talk about being woke, But wokeness is really just about being enlightened.
Amen.
And the Enlightenment started in the 17th century when people started saying, we could trust science. We didn't have to believe in religious dogmas that rejected scientific principles, that, democracy was actually a good thing, that people didn't, popes and kings didn't have to have unlimited power. That all happened, and that's why the United States exists, because those principles were founding principles of the United States. And to see this slipping back because of, just conspiracy theories and anger and fear is really a tragedy.
Yeah, and I'm really concerned about the alarming amount of mass shootings we've seen this week alone. I mean, we had another guy that that shot up the NFL building, claiming, concussions were the reason, and he had this brain debilitating disease that can only be really verified after you die, and of course left a note saying, please scan my brain to see if I have CT. What is it called, Doc? What was that disease with concussions? And
concussion-related brain injuries.
Yes.
It has various names.
It has an initial.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So, and it seems like to me, like every other day we're having a mass shooting. And, we've had probably in the last week, maybe 4 that made national news. But, somewhere every day there's a mass shooting taking place in America. Now, for the people who work at the CDC who just suffered thousands of cuts, they put someone in charge of DHH who don't know diddly about science, doesn't believe in the science, in fact is an anti-vaxxer himself. How do we have people who are already on the fence about the vaccine or any sort of vaccine at this point, because we've seen a rise in measles that is coming back. We've seen, even the plague pop up here in America, that seemingly these diseases that we've completely eradicated or almost eradicated, certainly with herd immunity and the advances of medicine, now people questioning it and doubting it. And as we start the first day of school, we see the highest number of parents who have opted their children out of getting those vaccines in Louisiana that we used to require, and you could not go to school without taking them.
Yeah. There was a no shots, no school policy in Louisiana, which was quite effective, and it achieved very high vaccination rates. Mississippi has it. There's many states that have this. But what's happened is because there's a public erosion of faith in the vaccines and people are sucking up all this misinformation, and they just don't understand. And I'm not considering these people stupid or anything, but they're just exposed to this barrage of misinformation. So what's happened is that the administrations have said, well, you used to have to get a valid doctor's excuse that said that you could not take the vaccines for some medical purpose. And now that all went by the wayside, and the parents just don't want to give it. They just, get a waiver and say, I oppose on religious grounds. And they get out of it. And, this is all going to come back to bite you.
And what you mean inviting people who have done their due diligence by going ahead and getting their children vaccinated are now going to have to suffer if there's some disease that hits the school, that hits one of these unvaccinated children, that then create some problems, be problematic for those who are in school and others who obviously haven't taken the vaccine either.
Yeah, we already see that happening with measles. And when you get enough children in a school that are not vaccinated, and measles gets in, because measles is horrendously contagious, then it just spreads like wildfire. And that's why we have 1,300 cases of measles, which is now that it's more than the decades, because of people opposing vaccination.
Doc, have we gotten any numbers here in the state or in Rapides Parish or in Region 6 about how many children's parents have opted them out of the vaccination program as we begin school this week?
Well, I don't have that because I don't run the Office of Public Health now anymore. But those figures do exist, and you could request that information from the state. I don't know if they're going to give it to you, but I can try and get it, but I don't have the same access I had when I ran the Office of Public Health.
Yeah, you don't have that juice anymore. I get it. But look, thank you for being candid. And I can't let you go without talking about Netanyahu announcing this weekend that they want to take over Gaza completely. I think we have been talking about this. Not only that, he's ordering evacuations of Gaza into safe zones. And when you look at what has happened, that 70 to 80% of Gaza is uninhabitable, that there are no safe zones.
Yeah, this is an ongoing tragedy as well. And the politics and all.
Thanks for tuning in to Eyes Open with Tony Brown.